Sean Diddy Combs, once a celebrated music mogul, now stands at the center of one of the most controversial trials of the decade. But what really happened in court? Why was he found guilty on some charges but not the most serious ones? And what does this mean for justice, for his accusers, and for us, the public? Let's break it all down, clearly, factually, and without bias. Let's be honest, Diddy's behavior, as described in court, was morally shocking. Accusers spoke of violence, manipulation, and bizarre freak-off parties. Even his own legal team admitted he'd been physically aggressive. But here's the key legal point. Being morally wrong is not the same as being legally guilty. In a courtroom, the jury follows one rule only, the rule of law. Not emotion, not outrage, just evidence. After weeks of testimony, here's what the jury decided. Diddy was found guilty on 2 counts of transporting women for sex under the Mann Act. But he was acquitted on the most serious charges, RICO and sex trafficking by force. Why? Because prosecutors failed to prove those charges beyond a reasonable doubt. The highest legal because long before a single charge was filed, he had already been judged. Online, social media exploded with accusations that he slept with Oprah, that he was involved in secret Hollywood sex rings with other celebrities, even claims of child abuse and satanic cult activity. But none of these were ever raised in court. They were not part of the case. They were not backed by evidence. This raises a serious question. Is social media shaping our perception of justice, for better or worse? Social media is powerful. It can bring attention to abuse, but it can also distort truth. We saw this during the Trump presidency, where online narratives often overtook real accountability. In Diddy's case, the online guilt was so overwhelming, the actual verdict almost didn't matter. That's not due process. That's trial by algorithm. Several accusers like Jane and Cassie had long-term romantic ties to Diddy. Jane's rent was still being paid by Diddy during the trial. Cassie reportedly received a $20 million settlement before court even began. Defense attorneys revealed messages that suggested consent, even enthusiasm. And legally, any doubt, even a small one, must favor the defendant. Even after the partial acquittal, the judge denied bail. Why? Because Diddy's own lawyers admitted he was violent, and because victims like his chef, Jordan Atkinson, wrote letters saying they still feared him. The judge was blunt. Diddy may not be a RICO boss, but he's no harmless man. Now, all eyes turn to October 3rd, sentencing day. Diddy faces up to 20 years, but experts say 2 to 5 is more likely with credit for time served. He still faces civil lawsuits, public backlash, and potentially millions in damages. But one thing's clear, the courtroom spoke, and it chose law over outrage. So what's the real story behind the Diddy trial? He may have failed as a man, but the government failed to prove its boldest claims. That's justice, even if it doesn't feel satisfying.
Subscribe to Chikie-Chikie Global News for honest takes, legal explainers, and news that cuts through the noise.